What's up, guys? Welcome to Nimble Minds Talks of Self and Spirituality, where we talk about different philosophical perspectives as well as different spiritual practices. And in this video, I'm going to go ahead and get straight into it. We're going to be talking about mindfulness, and from there, I'm kind of just going to be talking about the benefits of being mindful, and I'm just going to talk from there, right? So, when it comes to being mindful, just be aware of the thoughts that are on your mind. And while you're also being aware of the thoughts that are on your mind, also be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of your situation, okay? Whatever your current situation is, whether good, whether, bad, depending on what it is, just be aware and mindful of that situation, okay? And then also be mindful of the things that you are doing and the things that you can do to better enhance that situation. And if you don't need further enhancement at that moment, to maintain that situation, okay? Because it's one thing to get better, and it's one thing to always, strive for the next thing, but it's an entirely different thing to be able to maintain whatever your level you're at, okay? Because think about it like stocks, right? Stocks bounce up, stocks bounce down, stocks are all over the place, okay? So what does that even mean? That means one day you may be doing really good, one day you may be doing really bad, but it's an entirely different thing to be consistent, to find something that's stable, okay? And when you're practicing mindfulness and things like that, that's what you want to strive for, okay? That's what I recommend, is get to a point where you're able to maintain consistently, okay? Not saying always, but for a majority of the time, okay, I'm in a good headspace, okay, I'm doing these things, so let's be consistent, let's maintain this, okay? And then branching off into that, when it comes to being mindful, I want to talk about the benefits of age, okay? And everybody gets older. That's normal. That's a natural part of life. Age is nothing to fear. Age is something you should welcome, honestly, in my opinion. I do believe it can bring wisdom if you are open and humble to learning, of course. But the power of age, okay? So what is age synonymous with? It is synonymous with time, okay? And with time, also age, you can essentially reinforce habits. You can reinforce your mindfulness. You can reinforce things that are beneficial. Okay, so what does this mean and why is this important? Well, first, why is it important? Because one, it does take time. Okay, it takes time to build a consistent routine. Okay, what does this mean? This means that as you age, for example, me, I don't mind sharing my age. I'm a younger guy. I'm 23 years old. So like young adult, right? Or, however you want to say it, right? But for me, at least, the way I look at it, and I encourage other people that are also in their 20s, right? Obviously, it may differ from their situation, but I do believe a good mindset that you should have is, hey, if you find a couple things that are working for you, if you find consistent habits, consistent routines that you have applied to your life that do work for you, I would encourage you to stick with that. That does not mean to block out other information. That does not mean to not listen to other sources, to not incorporate other sources, to not give other things a chance. But that does mean that, okay, this thing is something that works. This thing is something that's consistent, okay? And that means that maybe I should try to apply it to my life and keep it there, right? So I can continue to see, its benefits, okay? So what does that mean? For example, on this channel, one thing I always talked about, and I continue to talk about and will continue to talk about, is giving into temptation and things like lust, gluttony, whatever it is, right? Those are just the 7 deadly sins, but there's a lot of other temptations, right? And this is why I say it's good to be mindful, okay? Understand that, and I do mention this in my other videos, right? Understand that this is not a mindset to where it's always like, you're only locked in on, never doing this, and, I'm this guy, I'm big and bad or whatever because I'm never doing this. I mean, if that's the mindset and that's the habits you have incorporated into your routine that have allowed you to progress to whatever level you're at, that's perfectly fine. You can be like that, but you shouldn't stress yourself out unnecessarily, okay? You shouldn't add unnecessary stress to areas where you don't need it. So that's why I always talk about balance when I'm talking about these temptations, okay? That's why I always talk about these things. So for example, like lust is a big temptation, right? Greed is a big temptation, right? Like eating lots of food, right? Like lying and deceit, okay? Things like that. Drinking and things like that, those can be temptations. But just because I talk about those things and I'm like, if you're a person that never wants to indulge and partake, okay, that's amazing, don't do it. But that is not the purpose of everything that I'm saying. It's not to never do this and never do that. It's about to have control and a type of a balance in your life to where you understand that, hey, there are times where I may do this. There are times where I may do that. But now you have a mindset and a mentality to where when you indulge in whatever it is, it does not result in an undesirable outcome. It does not result in an undesirable product or situation, right? So for example, lust, I do preach a semen retention, okay? I do advocate these things, and not even just semen retention, right? If you're not, but discipline, okay? So you need to be careful with who you're sleeping with, okay? You need to be careful with watching porn, okay? You need to be careful with always engaging in these type of lustful thoughts. And once again, lust might not be the thing for you. Greedy thoughts, okay? Greed might not be the thing for you. Deceitful thoughts, okay? Deceit might not be the thing for you, okay? Whatever other tempting thoughts that you have, you just have to have a mindfulness to where you're like, okay, I understand what this is and I'm not gonna do these things. All right, that is my intention with these videos. And I do think there are some things that you shouldn't do, even though people are gonna do it anyway, right? Like whether that's lying or things like that. Personally, that's not my thing, but I understand, to each their own. People have their own ways they want to, you know what I'm saying? But me personally, I'm not exactly advocating for that. But I'm more on the side of whether it's, smoking or drinking. Those are pretty common things, I would say, that most people do, right? I think most people drink. That's on the side of drinking or smoking, whatever it is, right? But be mindful, okay? Because especially at my young age, I know there's a lot of people at this young age, right? They're in college, okay? They're maybe at their workplace, okay? Whatever it is. And they have times where they're going to go out. They have times where they're going to go drink. They're going to have times where they're going to go smoke. They're going to have times where they're going to go have a good time, okay? But it's the people that are not aware. There's the people that are not mindful. It's the people that are not constantly, it doesn't have to be constant, but just not, don't have that understanding that, okay, this is the situation I'm in, and these could potentially be the consequences, good or bad, of this situation if I engage in these activities. For example, you get invited out to a house party, okay? You understand at this house party, people gonna be drinking, people gonna be smoking, people gonna be just having a good time, right? But at the same time, be aware that what? You don't know everybody at this party, okay? And even if you, in quotes, I'm quoting right now, you can't see it, but air quoting right now, even if you know everybody at this party, you don't understand how they're gonna handle their drink. You don't know how they're gonna handle their smoke. You don't know how they're gonna handle whatever they're under the influence of, okay? You don't even know how they can handle themselves. That's the main thing. You don't even know how they're gonna handle themselves, right? So the important thing is to be aware that, okay, I don't know everyone in this environment, and I don't know how everyone is going to approach the things that are going down in this environment. So that's one thing, okay? The next thing is maybe the time that is happening. Okay, is this a time that I should be out? Do I need to be careful? What's going down here? Okay, what type of people are these people that I'm gonna even be around, right? And sometimes, like I always say, prevention is better than a cure. So if it gets to a point where you're asking yourself these questions and you can't even give yourself good answers and you can't even answer them yourselves, don't go. Don't go. Okay? I'm a younger man now, and there was a times, like even some years ago, where I was younger. Why I wouldn't even want to hear that. I'd be like, "What are you talking about? It's a house party. What are you talking about? They're inviting people out to have a good time. It's about to be these drinks and all this good vibes and these people, whatever. Like, I'm just gonna go and not think too much about it." But no, it is good to give thought to things. It's good to be like, maybe this is not a desirable situation that I'm going to put myself in, and I'm going to stay back. There's nothing wrong with saying that. Okay, if anything, that is a good decision. That shows some level of awareness that you're not just going out there and jumping into things just because. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Okay, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And just because there are things that are free, and free is great, right? But just because there are things that may come to you free doesn't mean you should always partake or indulge in it. Okay, so it's really about being mindful of the different situations out there, okay? And taking advantage of your age, however old you are. Me, I'm a younger guy, 23, and I'm sure there's guys out there that are also in their 20s. And if you're not, maybe older, okay? Hey, the people that are out there that are older, they understand, I'm sure, even better than I do, that it's great to be aware. I'm sure there's people that are even older that are like, yeah, they would, agree with some of my points. They'd be like, it is good to be aware. Even in my younger days, yeah, maybe they wish they would have been more aware, okay? Like, that is just the truth, okay? So, we talked about what? Being mindful, okay, of your mindset, of your thoughts, of your mentality, of your environment, okay, all of the above. What else did we talk about? The benefits of age, okay, not just being young. Obviously, being youthful and having that mentality is amazing, but also that age is synonymous with what? Time. And with time, as long as you're humble and you're open to understanding, you will start to understand things. And once you understand things, you can better approach different situations that you may have approached a little bit differently when you were younger, right? And even in mentality, right? It doesn't just necessarily have to be age. When you're younger, mentality, right? Now you can approach it differently, okay? Those are the two things we talked about. And then the other thing is not being too hard on yourself, okay? And this is why it's important to have a consistent routine and things that you want to stick to and goals that you want to reach, right? Whether that's, you want to better your financial situation, okay? And maybe it's not even that you need a better job. Because I'll tell you what, it's not always that you need a better job for some people out there. Sometimes you need better habits. That's the truth. Just I think most people, in my opinion, if they just had better habits, a lot of issues that they saw in their lives would disappear. That is just my take on it. Once again, I'm a young man, 23 years old. I do not have all the answers, okay? You know what I'm saying? A comparison is a killer of success, right? And comparison is a thief of joy. But if you wanted to compare me, right, I have not been in a lot of other situations, right, that other people my age and maybe even older have been in. So take what I say with a grain of salt, right? But I will say that's my experience so far, is that if people did change some of their habits, a lot of issues that they had would disappear, okay? Like mentally, physically, personally, a lot of those issues would disappear. Financially, okay? But it does take that effort. It does take that conscious effort. For example, I was just talking about how some people, it's not that they necessarily need a better job, it's just better habits. Some people, truth be told, just spend too much, okay? And if you spend too much, eventually you're going to end up spending what you don't have. So if you just adjusted yourself and some of your habits to maybe spend less here, spend less there, spend less everywhere, then you probably have a little more to spare, okay? Spend less here, spend less there, spend less everywhere, then you might have a little more to spare, okay? So some people just change their habits, honestly, they'd be in a lot better situation. I know people don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear that. Like, nimble minds, what are you talking about? I'm out here being nimble and being flexible in my ability to spend all this cash. You sound crazy. But hey, look, it is what it is, okay? And like I said in another video, past video, some people are going to say it is what it is, and some people are going to spend that money. Some people are going to say it is what it is, and some people are going to sleep with that honey and have that baby, and it's not funny. Like, some people are going to say it is what it is, and they're going to go out there and put themselves in a situation that's not desirable, okay? Some people are going to say it is what it is at the function. It is what it is at this, whatever it is, and they're going to end up doing something that they end up regretting later, like sleeping with this person, having all these bodies, right? Having all these children, right? And these are just the things that I'm talking about, because these are things, especially like if you're a man listening to this, even if you're a woman, right? But I'm a guy, right? So if you're a guy listening to this, I say the women part and the kid part because that is something that can really derail people if they are not ready. I'm trying to tell you, that is the quickest way. I don't care what it is, bro. Yes, jail, yes, crime, but I'm trying to tell you, even the criminals get derailed by the children. Even the people that ain't in the crime get derailed by the women out there. That's why I'm telling you. That's why lust, I'm trying to tell you, that's one of the biggest things out there that can get anybody, because it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you're at in your life. You could be the best, the worst. One wrong night, one wrong fight, you got no light. Like, I'm trying to tell you, like, that is the thing that gets most people, is them children, them that they're not ready for, is what I'm saying. Though people have the plan to have the children, right, and the women, but that is the main thing that gets people, is the women. And for the women, that could be the main thing that ends up getting you the men, okay? But for the guys out there, be careful, okay? Especially if you're a younger guy out there. There's some people out there that have a mentality that they want to have kids young and all that. That's great. That's great. I'm not the person that's going to hate. Trust me. That's great. I'm not the person that's going to hate. But I urge the younger guys out there, for whatever they're doing, whatever their personal thing is, enjoy yourself, okay? But be building your mentality at the same time. You can be responsible. You can be mature. You can be locked in and still rock in, okay? You can be locked in and still rock in, okay? Let me chill with all that, the rhyming, right? But you can still be locked in and focused on something and still be able to enjoy yourself, okay? Are there going to be times where, hey, you're going to have to put the drink down? Yes. Are there going to be times where, hey, I need to take a break from the blunt? Yes. Okay? But once you start to practice abstaining from things, you become better at it. And it almost becomes a switch you can flip to where, you know what? I need to do this right now. I'm focused right now. So guess what? The blunt going to have to wait. Guess what? The drink going to have to wait. I ain't got to take a drink right now. I could wait. Okay? And obviously it depends on the circumstance, right? And there are going to be other situations where you're like, okay, I'm at an all right spot right now. I'm still focused on things I have to do, but I'll have a drink. But I'll have a smoke. But whatever it is. Okay? Whatever it is you like to do. All right? Maybe you like sweets. Maybe you're going to start eating sweets, okay? Maybe, hey, I'm about to have sweets right now because, I've been doing all right. Let me treat myself, have a drink. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? But you have to maintain that balance and don't overindulge, okay? Because that's when it can lead you into situations that are not desirable, right? We talked about it. You start overindulging. Now you're out here sleeping with all these women. And we already talked about the soul ties. Now you got all these spirits entering and exiting your body like a random person is entering and exiting your house, bro. That's how I'm going to compare the spirits to, all right? It's like all those spirits are now entering and exiting your body at their own will. You now don't have any control because you done slept with all these women. Okay, women, you done slept with all these men. Now you got all these type of energies vibrating around inside of you, going back and forth inside of you, and it's just going to put you in different mental headspaces, okay? It's going to cause you to have that mental turmoil because now you have that on your conscience. You done been sleeping around. And that's part of it, okay? So, once again, what did we talk about? Let's recap. We talked about what? Being mindful of your mentality, being mindful of your thoughts, being mindful of your environment, being mindful of your situation, and the things you can do to better improve it, right? And the things that, okay, I'm at this spot and I'm feeling all right here. I'm feeling content, but I can maintain this, okay? Being mindful of how you can maintain that while still working to slowly but surely keep working. Okay, what else did we talk about? We talked about age and the power of age, which is also synonymous with time. Okay, for the younger people out there, stay focused, stay locked in, but understand there are going to be times where you have to enjoy yourself, right? But you need to be careful because one slip up, one child will derail the whole train. It will knock you off course. Okay, so you got to be aware of that, okay? What else did we talk about? We talked about not putting unnecessary stress on yourself, okay? There are enough stressors in this world. There are enough stressors in the States, wherever you're at. I'm sure you have your own stressors. So don't put unnecessary stress on yourself that's going to cause even more issues, okay? Understand that, okay, like I said, this thing that I'm focused on, it could be causing me a little stress here. It is what it is. I still am content here and I'm able to maintain this level. So, I'm comfortable with that. That's keeping me at a good mindset, right? But we're still going to continue to slowly push forward and continue to slowly work, right? What else did we talk about? Okay, we talked about keeping the balance. Understand that there are going to be times when you want to indulge in the indulgences. There are going to be times where you want to partake in the partaking, okay? And that's okay, but you need to be mindful of your environment. Me personally, whenever I partake in the partaking or indulge in any indulgences, I'm usually by myself, okay? Because I understand that I can usually handle whatever I'm doing, you feel me? So I'm perfectly fine being alone and doing my own thing, you feel me? But for the people out there that gotta be in a big environment surrounded by people, understand. You may be all right. Understand. They may not though. They may have a certain you don't know what's going. I look. There's been some situations where it just people have some drinks and they start doing craziness, and I'm just like, oh whoa, what's going on? But be aware of your circumstance. Be aware of your environment, your situation. Okay. The goal is to be able to get to a level where you're able to maintain, because that's one of the hardest things to do is to maintain. Okay, maintain and retain. Okay, so. That's the video. Hope whoever's watching, whoever's listening was able to take something from this and apply it to any aspect of their life to hopefully improve it. And with that being said, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.